If you're getting into blogging and you are wondering which AI tool is the best for you to use to either write blog posts, write outlines, or whatever it is that you're looking for, these are 5 different tools that I've used for writing blog posts, and I'm going to share which ones are best, which ones are worth the paid versions, and which ones are not. So obviously, I feel like everybody knows ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the OG of writing tools. That's where a lot of things started. And for me, it is definitely probably the lowest on the totem pole, if I'm being honest. ChatGPT is very generic. I don't have the paid version anymore, but even when I did have the paid version, it just wasn't up to par, in my opinion. This is just like a blog post that I asked it to write for a recipe, and it just is very generic. I kind of hate that all ChatGPT articles start with looking to elevate, discover. They all start like that, and it's all just very generic, and I don't like the way it sounds. I don't think it adds a lot of value to things and instead just keeps things very generic sounding. Even when I ask it to add a personal story, it just doesn't seem very personal. It just seems it's just not up to par, in my opinion. So ChatGPT is sort of the bottom of the totem pole for me. Personally, I would not use it to write blog posts. I do like it because I've trained this particular one to write Pinterest descriptions for me. So I do like it for that purpose. I think it's pretty good at writing short form content captions. I've trained it to be able to do this, and it highlights the keywords that I'm going for. So I think those are pretty good for that. But other than that, I would not use ChatGPT. The next one I want to talk about is Claude. Claude is one that a lot of other people I've seen use. I feel like it's kind of a step up from ChatGPT. Their version, Claude, seems to be very personal. So I think it's a lot better at taking information and making it a little bit more personal. You can see here, it actually capitalizes things and makes it seem like a human actually wrote it a little bit more than some of the other ones. This is how I type. I type by capitalizing certain words that I want to put emphasis on. I'll also bold them and italicize them. So I think it's actually really good for that part of this. And this is exactly how I would start a sentence. It's way more casual, way more humanized, I feel, than ChatGPT would ever do. So that is what I do. So, for instance, if I do have an article where the intro paragraph is not very personal or doesn't sound like it came from a human, I'll actually put it into Claude and ask it to humanize it. And it does a much better job, except when it starts with, like, hey there, food adventurers, because that's just insane and nobody would ever start a sentence like that. But some of these other things do sound way more personal and make it sound way better. So Claude is an option, I think, for helping you to humanize content a little bit more and making the content, you can use it for outlines a lot better as well. So that's personally what I would use Claude for. For the next writing tool, this one's pretty new for me. It's called SEO Writing.ai, and I've seen a lot of other people using this one. I have to say it's still not my favorite. It's pretty good for certain things. So, like writing a pretty detailed blog post, I do like that you can also embed images and YouTube videos. I think the YouTube video feature is probably the best feature for it. I don't like that the images are always in landscape size because I would prefer longer vertical images, but that's the only kind of images that this one adds. So that one's not great for that, if I'm being honest. But I do like that it also adds tables, it has key takeaways, facts if you want them. I do think that that's really good. It does have an internal linking feature if you use the paid version, which is probably my favorite feature on one of my other tools that I like a little bit better. The internal linking feature is amazing for just SEO purposes and being able to create relevant internal links from other web pages on your website that might not be getting traffic as well. I think that that is probably one of the best features. You can also create marketing materials, which is really good. But to be honest, still not my favorite writing tool for SEO. I still think it can be a little bit generic at times, and the image generation is one of the main reasons why I personally wouldn't continue to use this. Oh, and also it doesn't do listicles, and listicles are a big thing that I'm doing right now because of my Pinterest strategy. I'm really aiming to do a lot more on Pinterest, and listicles are way better for Pinterest. And so, because this doesn't allow that, I don't think it's worth it for me personally to invest in this SEO writing tool because it doesn't offer that. So that takes us to our next one, which is called Content Goblin. And Content Goblin is a new feature SEO tool that does almost entirely, I think it just does listicles, which is amazing for Pinterest if that's your strategy. Because the thing with Pinterest and why people like listicles is because you are getting more. If someone had just done a recipe, which is also great, like if you're just doing one that's like just on Mediterranean couscous salad, that's great to have on Pinterest, but unless somebody's specifically looking for that, they're not really going to find that. Whereas if you're looking for work from home lunch ideas that are vegetarian, 27 options for that is way more enticing than just having this be an option here, because they would have to know exactly what they're looking for to search up for something like this versus this is something that can target a more general search, and then you can lead them to your website, which is exactly what you want to do and make money from display ads in that way. So I think Content Goblin is great. I only just got access to this yesterday, so I've been testing it out today. The AI images are pretty good. I think that looks pretty good. This one looks a little fake, but the thing is, the images cost way less than using something like an ideogram, which I do use from time to time, and I do think it's still a great software. But if you're using something on Content Goblin, the images cost way less money. So these are 1 credit, which is about 1 cent per picture. I do have the ideogram options here, but they do cost a little bit more. So if you're looking for something that is a little bit more higher quality, then you have the option to use the different models. But if you're looking for something quick that can get content out, then this one is great, the Flux option. And you can just give the article the title, say how many image prompts you want, and then it just does it for you. And the article library feature is really great because you get to see all of the article options that you've generated. And my favorite part is the article library. So this is all of the pictures. And once you have generated an article, you can download all the images, which is amazing for Pinterest when you are bulk scheduling. Instead of needing to go and manually download every single image, you can just click this button and it downloads all of them to your computer directly. That is my favorite feature because I'm experimenting with posting a lot more on Pinterest. And so having all of those pictures directly downloaded into my computer makes things a lot more convenient. So these are a lot better. Again, some of these images are not great, but it serves for inspiration, which is exactly what Pinterest is about. And a listicle is about inspiration. It's not necessarily about the information that you're getting, it's about the inspiration behind the article. So I do think that this one is great. I think this is probably my second favorite, but I am still loyal to Koala, and Koala is my favorite. So their image generator can be good sometimes. This one is a way better picture, for instance, and it has the option to do very realistic images, and you can choose between your one prompt doing one image, 2, 3, or 4, which is great. There's also different kinds of images that you can do, which is unreal. I usually just use the photo and then I use the premium model. Premium model uses 5 credits, but for me, I will never go through all the chat credits anyways, so it's worth it for me to use them. And you can choose the different sizes, which is great. The other option is it has the Koala chat options. The magnets are kind of useful, not my favorite, but I do love the Koala writer. And you have different options for the models. When I first got it, the models were not great, but now the most, what's the word? This model here, which is the lowest tier version, is still one of the best quality options, and it just counts for 1 credit. So I just think that that's great. You can create different job options if you want, have default presets, and these are the different options. So Claude, like I said before, is way more human sounding and does well with custom writing styles, which I found as well. This one is higher quality and follows custom prompts better, but then this one is still just as good, to be honest. You can use some of the more legacy models, but I don't think it's worth it. Then for article types, you have different options here. Now, I think Koala is good for Amazon product roundups and Amazon reviews, local places roundup. That's unreal. You can rewrite blog posts. And one of my other favorite features is YouTube video to blog post, which when I create a YouTube video, I just put the link here and then it takes all of the words that I've said here and makes it into a blog post, which is unreal and I love. They also do have the listicle option. Now, I will say using it for inspiration is not as good. It's better for product listicles. So instead of doing 25 recipe ideas, if you did 25 kitchen tools that you need, it's a lot more accurate and a little bit better. And then you can also choose how many words it writes, the lengths, and it has again that feature that I was talking about, which is the automatic internal linking, which is great. You can also add AI images in YouTube videos. Again, an amazing feature. And for the images, you can choose the different sizes. So you can use more vertical images, which is what I prefer. And then you can change the tone of voice and make this custom if you ever want to, the language, the country, and the point of view. I have been changing the point of view to I a lot more because I think Google, not that my content is necessarily for Google, but I think Google is preferring content that is from a first person perspective. Don't quote me on that, but that's just what I'm seeing. You can also use real-time data, outline editor, fact section, and improve readability, which is such a great feature. It makes it target an 8th grade reading level and shorter, simpler sentences, which I think is the best feature because you don't want something that's too technical because people aren't going to read it. You want something that's easy to read. And so what I do like though as well is that if you choose the outline editor, you can change all of the points. So if you were doing a listicle and the prompt that it first comes up with is not your favorite, I'll ask ChatGPT to instead give me a list of things that I'm more so looking for, and then I can just manually put in an outline, which is a little bit more work, but it's still pretty good. Or if you're just doing a regular blog post, then you can add your custom outline here. So it's got a lot of great features and like you can see here, the blog posts are a lot better and the images are a lot better quality. Of course, I messed this one up and didn't change the image size, so they are the more horizontal image, which sucks, but it does what it needs to do, so that's okay. But these are a lot better for listicles and for different blog posts rather than something more generic like a ChatGPT or a Claude. So these are the tools that I've been experimenting with and the ones that I think are worth your money. If you're going to invest in an AI writing software, my preferred one would be either Koala or Content Goblin. Those are the two that I would use. If not, then maybe SEO Writing. Again, still not my favorite, but this is probably the next best one. I would not invest in Claude or ChatGPT.